let's jump back to your court case. So how did that end, and what was the outcome of that? Because it was amazing. I remember seeing it on the news.
Yeah, so I took the chief constable and the College of Police into court because the chief constable of Humberside said that he was following the College of Policing guidance. So he said, fair enough, we'll take the College of Police into court as well. Now, what was strange in the High Court ruling, Humberside, Chief Constable of Humberside lost, and didn't just lose, he lost astonishingly. The High Court compared the actions of Humberside Police to those of the Stasi, the Cheka, and the Gestapo, which is not great. It's not a great look at all, quite frankly. But bizarrely, they said that the guidance itself remained legal. So we have this bizarre situation where the guidance was legal, but following the guidance was illegal. And I just thought, again, that's not right. That can't be. This is entirely illogical. This leaves the guidance in place, which leaves people exposed to further interference by other chief constables, and I'm not having it. So I appealed. We went to the Court of Appeal, and eventually I won. So the College of Police hate crime guidance was struck down. Now, that sounds like it should be a cause for celebration, and indeed it was for about 2 minutes. Because actually for several months, because the College of Policing were instructed to rewrite their guidance. They put out their new guidance, I think, end of July, beginning of August, and all they'd done, quite frankly, was rearrange the wording. So instead of having a non-crime hate incident or an NCHI, we now have an offence incident non-crime or an OINC. What they've done is they've taken the pot that marked jam and put strawberry preserve on it and hope that we don't tell the difference. They've done enough to keep themselves from being dragged back into court for contempt. The guidance has been written clearly by lawyers. The tacit message right the way through the new guidance is police officers, carry on as you were. Carry on as you were. The difference now is that when a chief constable gets taken to court for abuse, they'll no longer have the College of Policing standing beside them, because the College of Policing are fundamentally cowards, fundamentally useless, and they have written enough into the guidance to say, yeah, but paragraph 33, subsection 2 says the police didn't need to do this, and that's their get out. But the overarching method, the overarching message to the police is crack on as you were. Keep on finding hate everywhere. As I've said it before, the College of Police guidance encourages police officers to see hate in a slice of toast. They depend on finding hate everywhere, and quite astonishingly, Nick, in this attempt to get rid of hate, the college guidance states that a decrease in hate crime should not be regarded as an appropriate target. Say that again. What? So your task is to get rid of hate, but decreasing hate is not an appropriate target. In what world is that the case?
That comes straight out of critical race theory and those critical theories, that this is endemic in society. It's institutional. So just because and they also know what you can do with figures. So just because you're showing a decrease in hate crime, we know there's no decrease because we know how you fiddle the figures anyway. So don't be telling us you decrease in hate crime, because we know it's everywhere. And it's
absolutely everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And of course, it's funding an entire industry. The College of Policing is a private limited company. I'm not suggesting, by the way, that anybody's getting rich out of it, because they're not. But nevertheless, it's gobbling up around about £71 million worth of taxpayers' money. It employs around about 600 people. And if you look at their wage bill, that equates to round about £55,000 per person. Now, you can get 2 police officers for £50,000. So just think what that money could do. And what the College of Policing has set out to achieve since its establishment, I think in 2011, 2012, is to professionalise the police. Well, it's done no such thing. What it's done, it's standardised policing, and it's turned policing into an algorithm, so that if you raise an eyebrow or say the wrong form of words, then there's an offence or a non-offence where they're waiting to trap you. And it's a way of generating a chilling effect. It's a form of, it's there to socially engineer without the trouble of bothering the courts. In the old system, of course, you were innocent until proven guilty. There had to be enough evidence to go and investigate, another level of evidence to arrest, another level of evidence to convince the custody sergeant to keep you in the nick, another level of evidence to charge you, and another level of evidence for the CPS to accept the case, and then another level of evidence beyond reasonable doubt for a jury to convict. Now, they've bypassed all of that process by having non-crime hate incidents, because there's no
processes are there to protect the citizen. That's what all those processes originally before. That's why you needed all that evidence to take it to the next step. Is to protect us and protect our rights from corrupt police officers, from corrupt government, and from incompetence. And now they just want to fast track because they know best and they know it's a thought crime. 2 quick points to follow up on some of the things you've said. The first thing is, we must remember, just because something's legal doesn't mean it's right. Almost everything Hitler did in Nazi Germany was legal because he was in control of the courts and in control of the law. And my second point is, and it's more of a question to you, can the Home Secretary end all this if they wanted to?
Whew. 2 big questions there, Nick. Right. First of all, I would say that there is definitely a difference between what's morally correct and what's legal. You don't have to look as far as Hitler. You can look at any totalitarian regime where the law says one thing, but the right thing to do is something entirely another. Now, bad as our country may be, we still live under a parliamentary democracy, and we have the opportunity to get rid of our politicians every few years. We have the opportunity to go to court and to appeal any accusation, etc., etc. So, whilst our country is not perfect, it's a long, long way from being Adolf Hitler's the Third Reich. So there is that, I would say. Now, what the police are doing, they're saying, well, it may be technically legal to say something, but it's not nice to say something, and therefore you shouldn't say it. And if you do say it, we'll not record you as a criminal, but we'll record you as something else. Regardless, you're going to be recorded. And that's the thing. So we've moved from being guilty of a crime, in theory, still involves what they call actus reus, mens rea plus actus reus minus a defence. In other words, the guilty mind plus the guilty action minus a defence for doing so. Now they've bypassed that, and with this whole non-crime hate incident or offence incident, non-crime or perception-based recording, what they're doing is they're saying, we're not really interested in criminality anymore. We've now got a marker that marks your character, and we're marking your character as someone who is not kind, who is not nice, who is antagonistic, who clearly doesn't like a certain ideology that we approve of, and therefore we're going to mark your character as being fundamentally unsound. And whilst that may not give you a criminal record, it will restrict your ability to get certain jobs. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's operating a paralegal system.
It's also pre-crime. It's a bit like Minority Report. Because of the things you say and the legal acts you do that we don't like, we're predetermining that you're bound to end up as a criminal and doing something really, really horrendous and nasty. So we're intervening earlier, pre-crime. And that's part of what I read, that some of the training now in the police is about, we stop it here so it doesn't escalate to assault, and it doesn't escalate to murder, and it doesn't escalate to genocide. So it's a
they base all this on a thing called the Allport scale. And what I committed was stage 1, which is anti-locution. and the argument is, or hate speech. The argument is that without what they call necessary intervention, you are on an escalator that goes through avoidance of minorities, and then active discrimination against minorities, and then attack of minorities, and then genocide of minorities. And they're saying that me retweeting a feminist limerick put me on stage one of a 5-step journey to genocide. Well, that's clearly nonsense. One, just anybody with any sense will recognise that there's not a straight line inevitability where one thing leads to another thing, which leads to another thing without intervention, because that takes away all agency. Secondly, they've not carried out any research at all to see if this is true. Absolutely none. We asked the College of Policing what research they'd done, what empirical research they'd done, and they came back and said they hadn't done any. But more than that, I think all we're trying to do is stop escalation to crime is actually a lie. I think the non-crime hate incident is an end in itself. It's not to prevent something, it's in order to mark you as of unsound character, that you are politically and ideologically problematic. There is, in my case, Mr. Justice Knowles said I wasn't even in the foothills of criminality, and there was no possibility that I was going to escalate into crime. Nevertheless, the police argued that I should be recorded. Well, if it's nothing to do with crime, then what is it to do with about? And it's to do with marking my character. Now, the second question was, can Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, do anything about this? And the short answer is yes. One of the interesting factors about the College of Policing is that it has one shareholder, and that shareholder is the Home Secretary. Okay, that's it. So when the Home Secretary changes, the shareholder changes. So yeah, what the Home Secretary should do is close the thing down as being absolutely unfit for purpose, and then she should move on from that and start telling PC, start dragging chief constables into her office and reading them the riot act and reminding them that we police by consent, and that while she will not interfere with policing in terms of operational decision making, she will interfere when it comes to the police force operating a para-legal system, because she has every authority to do that. She just needs to have the willpower to do that, and she needs to work out how to get round the blob of the civil service in order to enact what she knows to be the right thing. Now, again, because I'm an optimist, I have a fair amount of hope that in Suella Braverman and Rishi Sunak and Kemi Badenoch, we do have some politicians who are bright, who are serious, and who understand the seriousness of this issue and have some degree of willpower to challenge it. Of course, when you do raise your head above the parapet, as Suella is finding out, you end up with an absolute barrage of hostility heading in your direction. But if you seek high office, then it's on you to do it. You've got to do the right thing.